Gadonia is a single-player RPG released in 2022, created by one developer that contains a vast open world where you can explore sprawling dungeons, complete quests, and scout out the various different biomes, from jungles to deserts to tundra. Jumping into this game, I felt the immediate draw to adventure as I was dropped into an open world with a variety of locations to explore. I loved the fact that there was limited hand-holding when starting out. You are given a basic weapon and encouraged to complete a few nearby quests, but other than that, the world is there for you to explore. Although the graphics are simplistic, the colors are vibrant, and the world is full of nostalgic vibes, harkening back to the likes of early MMOs such as RuneScape and World of Warcraft, seasoned with exploration mechanics that you might find in one of the more modern Zelda single-player titles. Gadonia was developed by Kazakov Oleg, a Russian developer who has created a variety of single-player experiences. When researching his Steam page, it was impressive to see that he has dabbled in a wide variety of game genres, including first-person shooters such as Putrefaction 1 and 2, Galaxy Squad, a turn-based tactics strategy game, Envy the Dead, a roguelike zombie survival game, and The Tape, a first-person horror game. Reviews of his games have ranged from mixed to mostly positive, and it's clear that with each release, the developer has fine-tuned his abilities by taking on more ambitious projects following each of his releases, Gadonia being the most ambitious of them all, as creating a vast open world as a one-person team is no easy feat. Although the game has fully released, he continues to introduce updates to the game on a fairly regular basis. Gadonia is described as an open-world role-playing game, inspired by old-school classics. You become a simple traveler and adventure seeker by exploring a huge world, progressing your character through many different build paths, and discovering hidden treasures and mysteries alongside fighting a vast array of enemies. The game's world borrows off a similar style to that of World of Warcraft, where you begin your journey in a low-level area and slowly progress to higher-level areas through completing quests, crafting, and partnering with various factions that you meet along the way. You are also given a main story quest line to complete. Alongside all of these systems, there are many unsolved mysteries marked around the map that require you to do some treasure hunting and digging around in various places to come up with the clues that will help to solve them. The game really encourages you to get out there and explore every corner of the world, and it's something that I really enjoyed, especially during the beginning of the playthrough. As you adventure, you will come across warring factions and will be forced to pick a side. Choosing factions is a key factor to getting yourself some better gear, which will complement your build depending on what skills you have chosen to invest in during the level-up process, which leads us to our next discussion, character building. At the start of character creation, you are given a limited amount of attribute points, which you can invest in one of 4 different attributes: strength, dexterity, charisma, and intelligence. Once you have invested these points, there is no going back to change it later. This may at first seem like a con, but it actually really adds to the replayability potential in this game. If you create a really high-strength character, he will be able to wear heavy armor and wield two-handed weapons. However, he may be limited in his ability to dodge or have companions and cast magic, depending on how you spread the rest of the attribute points out. This build-craft system is essentially the unofficial class system, as depending on how you spread your points out, you will have the option to play as a mage character, rogue, bard, fighter, paladin, necromancer, or a hybrid of a few character archetypes, depending on the strategy that you choose. Charisma allows you to have more companions. Dexterity allows you to sneak and jump higher. And intelligence allows you to have more magic casting options and increase your mana pool. I think overall this is one of the greatest strengths of Gadonia, as it allows you to play the game in a different way, and gravitates you to different factions in the game based on the path you have chosen. If you are a high magic, high strength build, perhaps being a tanky paladin is the way for you to go. Or if you want to be a glass cannon caster with a bunch of companions in your party, put all your points into intelligence and charisma. If you go the Paladin route, you will probably want to join the Paladin faction, as they will provide you with gear that fits in well with the build you have chosen. Or, if you are the latter, maybe it's best that you join the Mage Academy instead. So let's move on to briefly talking about the pros I found with this game before moving on to some of the cons. The first pro is the sense of progression. Guidonia provides a satisfying sense of progression through gear and leveling. Well, at least at first. I really was impressed by the amount of skills you could invest in. There are a wide variety of skill trees that allow you to gain new skills through different schools of combat, such as Ferocity, which adds skills for your melee attacks, Combat Mastery, which gives you some interesting options for passive skills. There are also a wide variety of magic skill trees, such as Holy, Dark, Arcane, Elemental, Blood, and Nature Magic. Let's also not forget the several utility skill paths you can level up, from cooking to alchemy, enchanting, and blacksmithing, to name a few. I found that crafting and gathering resources were balanced fairly well when encountering higher level difficulty mobs as I sunk additional time into the game. The faction system was also an interesting mechanic implemented, similarly to Morrowind, where siding with certain factions will make other factions hate you and vice versa. This allows you to truly roleplay your character and makes you feel like you are making important changes to the overall world based on your choices. Secondly, we've got exploration. Although there were some sparse areas of the game, I found the exploration to mostly be a rewarding experience. I enjoyed the various dungeons dotted around the world, which were full of challenging monsters and fun puzzles to solve. I also liked that the developers implemented an event system similar to Guild Wars 2, where you can encounter various events by just exploring the world. Although much simpler, they help to flesh out the world more and make it feel alive. Most of these events are also tied to various factions, which raises or decreases your reputation with them, depending on which side you choose. Lastly, one last pro that I want to talk about is that I want to cover the fact that I paid only $2 for this game when it went on sale. I definitely got my money's worth in the end. Is it a AAA game? No. But the price tag of this game, as well as no microtransactions or additional monetization, allowed for a true, untampered, classic gaming experience. So now, unfortunately, we've got to talk about the cons. A review is not a review without discussing some of the major flaws of this game, in which there are a few. So let's go over the first one. Combat is clunky and not super polished. Although I did not find this to be a major hindrance to the overall gameplay experience, it's there, and there's not much more to be said. Number 2, we've got technical issues. While nothing was truly game-breaking, I did find myself getting stuck in the mountains while exploring, and there were a few pathing issues I experienced. It was no issue as I could revert back to a previous save, but just know that this is a thing. Third, the main story. The main story is a bit confusing, and I found myself not really understanding the plot most of the time. While it is all voiced, it is clear that the developer's first language is not English, and there were a lot of points where this made for some very awkward dialogue. Well, I'm not judging based on the fact that this was a one-man project made by a guy whose first language is Russian. It is something to take note of. The voice actors seem to be a combined cast of B-movie quality and AI-generated voiceovers, which makes for a lot of cringe moments.
So, are you always this gloomy, or what?
Hey, don't talk like I'm some spiteful hag.
Oh no, I'm not saying anything. Just looking at you with reverence and a little bit of terror.
You better. And not a little bit too.
You know, when I was a kid, I got really scared by a squirrel in the woods. I ran screaming all the way to the village and told my uncle that I've met a monster. He was laughing so hard his stomach hurt.
Ha ha.
That's when I promised myself that I would never be scared of anything.
Here goes another Captain Risk Taker again. Always taking risks, huh? Just saying, yeah. Nothing wrong with being cautious from time to time. Now let's get to sleep. Let's leave all swashbuckling for tomorrow, shall we?
Good night.
And fourthly, we've got repetitive quests. There are a few good quests here and there, but overall I found a lot of the quests to follow a similar pattern. You encounter a certain NPC who needs help, he sends you somewhere, and you meet another NPC who tells you that the NPC who sent you on this errand is actually evil, and you need to side with them to complete the task in a different way. Well, that type of quest drew my attention at first when starting the game. It eventually got very repetitive by the end. And lastly, there's really no incentive to continue playing into the late game. Although I completed the main quest and 99% of the quests on the main map, the game technically doesn't end there. You can continue to level your character up to higher levels and experience higher level content through completing dungeons and exploring higher level areas. The problem is the quests became more sparse, and with that my interest in exploring the world also waned. While I do think this type of endgame would fit well in an MMORPG where you have more incentive to earn bragging rights as a fully geared character that you can show off to all of your friends or your guildies, in a single RPG this system feels a bit misplaced. I had maxed out my reputation with my main factions, and I felt no real desire to continue here. So, let's kind of sum up my personal experience here. So, give you a few more thoughts on my personal experience with this game. So, I enjoyed my 40 hours of playtime with the game, and it's one that I may revisit again, but probably not anytime soon. It has a really strong early to mid-game experience that slowly tampers off once you've maxed out your first faction and finished the main quest line. If they could at least implement a system like Diablo 2 where you could trade with people online and show off your gear, it would be more motivating for me to want to delve more into the game and higher level content. So, overall, would I recommend this game? If based solely on the price tag, it's a definite yes. Right now, the game costs about $15 on Steam, but I bought it on sale not that long ago for $2. So, depending on how much you think you might enjoy it, buy it now. Or, if it's too much of a gamble, wait for a seasonal or holiday sale. I do really like what this game developer is trying to do, and there was clearly a lot of creativity and soul put behind this project, and given the fact that there are so many AAA titles built on a foundation of greed over gameplay, I would say this dev is definitely worth supporting, as we need more people like him in the modern gaming sphere. I also wanted to mention that he has already begun work on a follow-up to this game with Gadonia 2. According to his devlog, he plans to introduce co-op multiplayer and make a lot of improvements to the second game, building off from his time spent on developing the first game. He also profited enough from the sales of the first game to hire a small team to help him work on his follow-up game. So, yeah, final thoughts. I'm looking forward to seeing what the next game will look like, and definitely try this game out, at least when it goes on sale. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.